Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Stand and Bang. I'm your host, Aaron Robbins, and with me, of course, is Fred Kirby. Fred, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Aaron. How are you doing tonight, bro?
Great. This is a little different episode than what our fans are used to. This actually has a good message. We are joined by UFC fighter Court Mcgee, who has a project called Hope 361 that deals with recovery from addiction. Court, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem. Court, for those of you, or for those of our fans who did not watch the episode of, or the season of Tough that you were on, why don't you go ahead and give them some of your background, tell them how you were led to start the project Hope 361.
Well, first of all, I'm a person in long-term recovery from addiction. I have a little over 9 years, so 3,343 days of sobriety today. So I'll go into the backstory a little bit later. First off, we're launching a Kickstarter for the Hope 361 project. We launched it yesterday at 8 a.m. And we have a mark of $30,000 that we wanted to raise. And the idea is, to anybody who's listening, do you know somebody who's struggling? Just, I'm asking you that. And you can, think about it. Do you know anybody who's struggling with addiction? Family member, friend, coworker, boss, employee, whoever. Now, if they reached out for help, would you know where or how to help them? And that's kind of the question. Now, everybody knows somebody. You ask somebody and they say, yeah, I know, the guy I went to school with, or, yeah, I have, my mom or my dad or my brother, or, yeah, I struggle. And then you say, okay, well, if they asked and if they needed help, where would you point them to? What direction would you point them to? And kind of the general answer is, I don't know. And that's one of the issues surrounding addiction recovery is not a lot of people know where to go. My family specifically, my mom and dad had no idea how to help me, where to turn me to, what direction to point me in. And for me, when I was active in my addiction, I didn't think I could go a day without a drink or a drug. And I was at 20 years old, just a couple of years out of high school. So what the Kickstarter is if you were to back us with just $1, like that would be your way of being of service to that person. You could help that person. The first way you could help that person is by backing us with $1. That's what Hope 361 is. So we're an online recovery aid, but there's a lot more to it. You see, there's a stigma surrounding addiction. There's lots of stigma surrounding addiction. A lot of people are afraid to come out. I remember the first loss of a job was when I said, hey, I think I have a problem with alcohol, guys. And they said, well, we don't have room for you, Court. If you get some help and come back, we would love to bring you back on. And that was kind of it. So, like, at the time, I couldn't go to my boss. I didn't know where else to go. Now, I wanted to stop, and I found that I couldn't. There's a lot of people in that situation. See, there's roughly, somewhere around 30 million people in long-term recovery. And currently, about 23 million struggling. And only 1 out of 10 will receive treatment necessary for them to get a start on their recovery process. And there is treatment available, but, ask yourself this, where do I start? What do I do? My son is struggling. Where do I reach out to? Or if you were struggling, what's the next right step? And that's what I want Hope 361 to provide. The 361, 360 degrees is a circle. So doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. You change it 1 degree and, that can make all the difference in the world. Now, me at about 4 years sober, I'm trying out for the Ultimate Fighter. And you see, I had dreams and aspirations and goals, but when I'm using heroin and pain pills and drinking, I can't have dreams. I can't reach goals. But you take those away from me. I had goals and aspirations of doing some mixed martial arts. Now you remove the drugs and alcohol and you give me a design for living or a way of living different than anything I ever knew was available without a drink or a drug. And I find myself on the Ultimate Fighter tryout. And in the interview, so they have a process. You do striking, and then they pick you from a group, and then you go on to grappling, and then they pick you from a group, and then you do an interview. And it was kind of my point of where I came out and said, hey, I'm a person in long-term recovery. They said, what makes you different from the next guy that comes in here? What, this is your last chance, blah, 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 and I said, no. I said, the only thing that I may have a little bit different than the other person is I overdosed on heroin September 9th, 2005, was pronounced clinically dead for some 8 minutes. And if you give me a shot, I'm available to go on this show. And I think I can win it. So, no, it's not my last chance. I've got a good life today. But the only thing I have is if I stay sober for another couple of months, about 4 years of continuous sobriety. That's what I told them. They said, we love you, you're on. And that was it. That was all. That was my step in the door. And, I never thought in a million years I was going to go out and win it, but I did, that just, and when I won it, the only thing I could say was I dedicate this fight to all those who are struggling, because the ones who are struggling and found recovery and reached their hand out to me and said, hey, this is how I've done it. Those are the ones that gave me an opportunity to be there. And so I wanted to thank them. And then I wanted to help break the stigma a little bit surrounding addiction and say, hey, listen, I'm a person in long-term recovery. Look what I can, just imagine what you can do. I'm just a kid from Layton, Utah. And so ever since that happened, these stories came out, and it was kind of overwhelming because it was, either interfacing with someone at an appearance or a UFC event or a motivational talk or training through social media or the website was like, hey man, I need help. Hey, my brother needs help. Oh, congratulations on the fight. I have a friend, man, and he needs help. What do I do? And I kind of felt a responsibility. I said, hey, listen, this worked for me. I don't know if it's going to work for you. And then all of a sudden, it's like I had this group of people around me, and, this program found me is what it did. And so we started it and we did a Kickstarter. And so, there's a process of finding the Kickstarter. That's Kickstarter.com, and you can go on and you can do Hope361.com/Kickstarter, and that's our Kickstarter. And you can say back this, and then you put in a little bit of information and donate $1. If you know somebody who's struggling and you want to help, this is a perfect way for you to help. And that's kind of a little bit of the backstory. And a little bit of the story and the process of the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is pretty cool. It's kind of a new way to get your whatever you're doing out there, and it's crowdfunding, and it allows you to have a good start, to bounce it off of the community. And the thing is everybody knows somebody who's struggling, and it's like if everybody that wanted to help could help and donated $1, we'd have the most successful Kickstarter in the history of Kickstarter. And I want to be able to make sure I can do that. So, the most important thing is one person gets the help they need. And let me tell you, if you were sitting in the seat that I'm sitting in right now, you would know that that's happening. It happened today. Somebody made a step into a place where they have an opportunity to accomplish great things. And so, and it happens every day, but there's a process and there's a system and there's and there's work involved, tireless, endless work. And I'm willing to do that because what was so freely given to me, part of my recovery is giving that back. Part of me being able to stay sober today and stay free from all mind-altering substances, giving that back. I was given the opportunity to train at a high level and compete at a high level. And if I don't use what the UFC's given me, this platform, to do some good, then I don't know where I'll be. So we created this program. It kind of created itself. I had somebody contact me. So there's the 361 recovery aid, basically the online community, and how that started was, so somebody contacted me and said, hey, I'm a small business owner and I have somebody close to me who's struggling. How can I help him? And I said, well, give him my number. So gave my number, and the guy called me. And he said, yeah, and here's the thing. So this guy and his dad owned a business for 30 years, and basically the accountant was their accountant for 30 years. And this accountant's a 60-year-old accountant. And the 60-year-old accountant called me and said, hey, I'm struggling. We talked for a couple hours. After we got off the phone, the guy called me back and he said he could relate to some of the things you were saying, but Court, you're a 30-year-old athlete. He's a 60-year-old accountant. There's not a lot in common. Well, my 60-year-old accountant's has got double-digit sobriety. He's got more than 10 years of sobriety. And I said, how can I put my 60-year-old accountant friend that has multiple years of drug and alcohol free in touch with this person who needs help? And that's where the recovery aid started. So you can get on, build a profile, and I can say I'm a 30-year-old athlete with nine years of continuous sobriety. This is how I got sober, and this is what I'm doing to maintain a life of recovery. And you can see it right there. And then you can message me and privately message me and talk to me, ask me questions. I can talk to you. I can get on and say what I'm doing to stay sober today, to not drink and not use. And in doing that, and anybody can get on there. A mom who has a son struggling can get on there and ask, talk. This is a digital age, so not everybody can interface with someone. And so, we want to make this available to anybody, somebody in a rural community or in the city who's alone. And, anybody who's struggling, I don't know if you feel this way or not, but when I was strung out, no matter where I was at or how many people were surrounding me, I always felt alone. And I don't have to live like that today. That's one portion of it.
All right, let me jump in and tell the audience why Stand and Bang is poised uniquely to help you with this project. I've never talked about this on the MMA show because it's not necessary. We're kind of knuckleheads. We try to make the fighters laugh. We try to make our audience laugh. Court, you and I talked earlier. I'm also a recovering heroin addict. I have 5 years continuing sobriety. It wasn't just heroin. It started with pain pills. And then, of course, it ultimately led to heroin. But in that time, I tried pretty much everything under the sun. You know how that goes. One leads to another, to alcohol and things like this. So I'm going to take this opportunity, if it's okay. I'm going to pass it to Fred, my co-host, because he lives in Dayton, Ohio. And right now, heroin is a gigantic problem in Dayton. And so I am sure there are people that he knows and people in the situation that you were talking about. So we're going to let Fred talk for a little bit just to show the fans how relevant this is and how bad the problem is. We'll come back to me. I'll share a little bit of my background story, and then we can give these people some hope. Show people why they should be giving that $1 to the Kickstarter, because as you said, everybody knows somebody. So Fred, why don't you go ahead and tell Court and the fans a little bit about what's happening in your city?
Yeah, I'm from Dayton, Ohio, and Ohio in general, and actually the United States in general, is suffering from a heroin epidemic right now. But Ohio is suffering greatly, and my city in general, Dayton, which is a relatively small city, generally speaking, has a horrible heroin problem. And so as Court was explaining that, I had a ton of questions just about what the idea with this was and what the website was going to provide. And right there at the end of it, I think he kind of started to describe it a little bit. It could just work as an outlet for these people to just have other people to communicate with when they're having a rough day. Is that kind of what you were saying, Court?
Yeah, or they can get on and share their story of what they're doing today. I mean, it could be somebody with multiple years of sobriety, or it could be a mother with a son that's struggling to get on document their story, and then it's like a Facebook page. But here's the thing. If you're struggling, you've been slamming dope for 3 years, you're 2 years out of high school, you're not going to go on Facebook and say, hey, man, I just got done slamming 10 balloons of heroin today. I want to put a bullet in my head, and I need help. Where do I go? They aren't going to say that. Now, it's like, I want to build a community and make it available so if somebody in that situation can reach out, or a mother who has a son who's struggling can reach out and say, hey, what did you guys do? And bounce ideas off people who are living this type of life. Because here's the thing, there's 30 million of us in long-term recovery. 30 million. So what? An additional, if they have one parent, that's another 30 million. That's 60 million people that could offer some sort of help or support. So I want to build that community and let those people who are struggling know, and the family surrounding them, that there's a way out, there is help, and a lot of people don't know. It's kind of like 1 in 10 people out of those 23 million get the help they need, the treatment, the addiction treatment that they need. But what about the other 20 million? They either don't have any idea what a residential treatment, outpatient treatment, detox, 12-step program. They have licensed clinical social worker, drug counselor. They have no idea that stuff is available, or they don't know how to access it. And I want to make that available. That's another part of our Kickstarter. So for every $5,000 raised, I will speak at a school at the teenage level, a junior, a middle school, or high school. And the reason for that is because out of that 30 million or so, 90% of us started in our teenage years. So I want to raise awareness before. I want to say, hey, listen, I'm an everyday guy, and I wanted to change the way I was. I wanted to be a little different. I wanted to have a little bit more fun, and so I started drinking and smoking a little weed and taking a few pain pills. And it led into this, It led into 2 years later, I was strung out on heroin in a trailer, and I had no idea where to go, and I wanted to stop, but I couldn't. So I want to make that aware, or make that available. I want to tell people, the repercussions of taking those few drinks. Now, not everybody's going to have that situation, but it's kind of like, 2,000 young people today will try opiates for the first time. Now, you said your story was you went from pain pills to heroin. Now, that's my same story.
That's a lot of people's story.
Yeah, well, in 2012, 43,982 registered deaths overdose related. 16,000 of that, over 16,000 were opioids. And it was a little over 8,000 that were heroin deaths. So how many people started with opioids? Well, if 2,000 a day are trying it for the first time, how many of those people have inherent in their personality the same problem that I have? That disease of addiction.
Wow.
I don't know what that number is.
I think you're onto something with the Facebook thing. I think that a lot of people do feel ostracized by it, and they probably don't want to come out because they feel like they'll be ridiculed or fucking people will make fun of them and shit. So it's a good idea that you can create a community where people aren't going to feel ashamed, where everybody's kind of there for the same thing, to get some help or to give advice or to get advice or whatever. So that's a great idea. Aaron, do you think that something like that would have been a benefit to you when you were struggling?
Well, absolutely, because Court and I talked earlier, and Court, you and I have this in common, unfortunately. When you don't know, and just for the fans who are listening right now, a lot of people that you would call a junkie, or that they are strung out, they are truly struggling. They are lost. It is a terrible lifestyle. Most of us want to quit, and we don't have the resources or the information available. And Court, you were telling me earlier, we have something in common. We detoxed in a jail cell. That is not the place to try to recover from a heroin addiction. As Court was saying, if you are quote unquote slamming dope and you stop, it is very painful. It is very frightening. It is one of the worst experiences that I've ever been through. And that fear becomes a cycle. You don't know who to reach out to. People don't know how to reach out to you. You are ostracized in one case, but then you isolate in another case because you believe that no one will understand what you are going through. And so it sounds like with Hope 361, you are giving people who have a unique ability to understand where they're coming from and also a comfort zone to let people know, look, I am doing this right now, but I don't want to be, but I don't have the skills to cope without it because I know that I'll get sick. I know that it will hurt. And unfortunately right now, even though the problem is 23 million people, we end up in jail. We don't end up where we should be, which is a long-term recovery program. And if we do end up in recovery or into a rehab, it's usually only for a few days, and we are completely unable to cope with life after you have altered your body's chemistry to rely on exogenous heroin for your way of life. So are we kind of striking a nerve there, Court? Is this where we're going with Hope 361? Giving people an opportunity to have information and also a structured support.
Exactly. Yep. And on top of that, not only are we going to show you, like, through video and explain what treatment is, but we're going to document a treatment center and make available an opportunity for you to see this place, walk through this place, and check it out and see what a residential treatment center is and what an outpatient treatment center is. We'll document that and make it available so that your loved one can be put in a place like this rather than continue to keep doing what they're doing. There's treatment available. It's just, where do you go? Which one's a good one? Hey, I don't have any money. What do I do? Hey, I lost my job. What do I do? Where do I go? And there's places that can work with you.
Will the site provide that? Will you provide them with like numbers for places they can go locally, or maybe something like, because like for instance in Dayton, it's a major problem. There are probably 7 to 10 rehab facilities. Now, some of them are a lot better than others, but you don't really know unless you've got a family member or a friend who's actually been to that place before and knows whether it's kind of good or shit.
Yep, exactly. And so what we do right now on a small scale is we find one center that's doing great things, and then we document that. And with your help, we can go to the second, to the third, to the fourth, to this county, to that county, to
Gotcha.
this state, to that state, internationally, and make this thing available for anyone who is struggling. But see, your dollar, and the cool thing with Kickstarter is there's prizes associated. Now you can get on and just anonymously donate $1 to whatever you want to donate. You can get on, log on, back this project. I guess you have to sign up. You have to sign up to the Kickstarter, and then you back the project, put in your information, and then a month from now that dollar will be taken out of your account. Okay. Once you get 30 days to hit your mark. Now, it's like, but there's prizes associated with it. Like there's a $1 prize, a $5, a $10, all the way up to a $10,000 prize. But above that, every $5,000 raised, as soon as we hit our mark of $30,000, I will share at a school for free my message. I will go and I will do a public speaking event at a middle school or high school. Now, every $10,000 raised, we'll document and make available a treatment center. And so that's where we'll start. And this is how you guys can help. This is how we can help as a society and as a community. And in doing that, now you're becoming a part of helping break the stigma with addiction. So your brother, your mother, your friend, your doctor can say, hey man, I need help. They can find the place and get the help necessary to get them started. And it's like you can play an intricate role in not only saving somebody's life, but helping somebody become a productive member of society. You ask in general, hey, do you know somebody struggling? Yeah. Okay, well, what's his name? Oh, Chris. And then, in your opinion, man, tell me about this guy. Man, he was a wonderful, wonderful guy. And then You know, he started taking pills, and now he's just lost everything. And it's like every one of them is a great guy.
Yep.
And I see that side of it now, because the people I surround myself with now, and that group of people I have, I mean, these people are incredible. My CPA, my accountant, the guy who taught me how to run a business, is a wonderful guy. He's in long-term recovery, you know, and it's like the guy who helped me find my home I bought 5 years ago. He's in recovery, you know. The guy who came in and tiled my floors, and he let me work alongside of him and help him. He came in and tiled my floors, runs a great business. So when you think of a drug addict, it's not just the guy slamming dope behind the garbage can. It's not just the guy panhandling. So if you get on and you back us with even $1, you know, instead of handing $1 to that guy that's panhandling, which I've done, you know, you're handing $1 to the next Court Mcgee. And even though I've accomplished a lot in mixed martial arts, you never know when that next Court Mcgee is or what that next Court Mcgee will do. You know, you have no idea. And I'm just a regular, everyday guy. So what if you give an opportunity to somebody who, you know, and it's just, well, I don't want, you know, that guy, he's just, you know, he's done it to himself. Or he, you know, it's, you know, we're not throwaways. We're not. Some of us are very productive, but we're not productive when we're loaded. But if you afford an opportunity to someone, like I was afforded, it's just, you know, you can create an amazing journey for somebody. See, I'm a productive member of society today, which I wasn't when I got sober.
It doesn't take much to make a huge difference. Like I said, I haven't told my story before, but people do know that I'm a chiropractor. I had to take time off of being a chiropractor to get right, but now I'm a chiropractor again, so it's exactly what Court said. We're not throwaways. It's your mother. It's your brother. It's your son. It's your sister. It's your doctor. We are real people who made a bad choice and didn't know how to get out, and Court and Hope 361 are giving people the opportunity to learn how to make a better choice. The people over in Dayton, the people in Michigan, Detroit, Flint, all of these places that have these terrible problems. So, Court, before we wrap up the show, please tell the fans exactly how to get over to your Kickstarter, give them the website, and then tell them how to reach out to you on social media in case they don't understand the Kickstarter, but they can get a hold of you directly through Facebook or Twitter and say, hey, Court, I'm willing to help. Can you lead me the right way? And then you can talk back with them and send them right over to your project.
Okay, you can get onto Kickstarter.com, and it's one word, Kickstarter.com, and you can look up Hope, HOPE, 361.com/Kickstarter, and that'll bring up our Kickstarter project. And you say, back this, sign up, log in, and if you feel like you would like to donate, you can donate and back us with $1 or whatever. There's prizes associated with some of them, or you can just donate whatever you want. Now, if you have a hard time finding that, then you can go to my athlete Facebook page, Court, COURT, MCGEE, Court Mcgee Facebook athlete page. I have a private page, a personal page, and that's kind of the first one that comes up, I think, but it's full, so it's hard to accept requests. Or you can go to Twitter, Court_MCGEE. And, you know, all of the information's up there. You can click on there, click on links. It'll take you straight to the page, scroll through my page and see all that stuff.
All right, so fans, get behind this. This is something very near and dear to Stan and Bang's heart. Court, thank you very much for letting us be part of your project. And we hope to have you back on whenever you have time for us for your next fight.
Fantastic.
All
Thank
right.
you, guys.